Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. I'm Craig, and today we finally have our Rising Tide book ready to review. And we will today be reviewing everything you need to know about Rising Tide, specifically from the Tyranid section. We will touch on a few other things, but this is specifically a Tyranid portion review. Stay tuned. And we will be covering everything. We'll be going over the Warlord traits, the relics, what you get out of this book, if it's worth buying. There won't be too much as an in-depth tactics video because I have literally just had this book for about an hour or so. So tactics and everything are coming later this week. We'll be coming down some crazy combos that I think you can achieve. Some will be more practical than others, but definitely some new lease of life that Tyranids have received from this book. So before we dive in, please, if you're new, subscribe to this channel if you want to stay up to date on our Tyranid content, as well as other armies like the Grey Knights, Necrons, Admech, everything that we are covering here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios. And hit that little like button if you do want to help us out as well. Those do mean a lot in the YouTube algorithm. So with all that out of the way, let's dive into Book 1, Rising Tide of Warzone Octarius. So we're just going to dive into it. We do know we have Codex Supplement Leviathan, which will give us Warlord traits, relics, and another healthy chunk of stratagems. So I think Tyranids right now have the most stratagems out of every codex in the game. I think we rival Space Marines, unless you add up all the Space Marines together. But as a whole, or as a whole faction, I really think Tyranids now have the most, which is good and bad for us. Great. We have a lot of options to use our stratagems on. Bad because it is a lot of rules we have to remember in time with there. Adds that high skilled cap that Tyranids are kind of leaning towards right now. We're trying to get the most out of this army, but like that. And then we'll touch at the end. There are some Blood of Baal reprints, one important note to there, and a few Crusade rules, so we can start dabbling with some more fluffy aspects of Crusade. So let's go first. I'm going to kind of keep this brief and run through. I won't go through everything, but like I said, later this week we will do a rundown with some tactics and some pretty cool combos, and they will use a lot of the stuff from Leviathan, maybe some, not all Leviathan, but let's start with Leviathan. So we know Swarm Leader is basically giving us chapter master rerolls. So this is the first time that Tyranids have ever had a granted reroll aura. It's not even an aura, it's just a selected unit and they get rerolls. Normally all of our rerolls come from the weapon profiles or the specific data profiles, like the Toxic can reroll failed wound rolls, or Scything Talons reroll failed hit rolls of 1. Previously that's the only way we've gotten rerolls as Tyranids, so this is awesome. We finally have a way to get rerolls. We now have strategic adaptation. So after both players have deployed, but before the first battle round begins, select up to 2 Leviathan units from your army that are in your deployment zone and redeploy them. You cannot select your Warlord, unlike the other Warlord trait where you can redeploy your Warlord. The last one we have is Gestalt Commander. Now this one, I think I can think of one or two really good instances which will be touched on, but for this what you do is at the start of each battle round you select a Warlord trait from the Hive Fleet Warlord traits. So this is in the codex, those list of Warlord traits we have, whether it's a Hive Fleet specific one or a generic one, I believe. Let's say you want the Behemoth specific one to get extra damage on 6s in combat. So start your turn, bam, we'll be Behemoth now and we'll go for some extra damage. Maybe the next turn you want to be Hydra and you want to regen some wounds. Maybe you only got 1 wound left. You want 11 shots to regen some wounds. Bam, we'll switch to this one. And you don't lose the Hive Fleet keyword, so then you don't interact, you just switch it. I think it might not be the most competitive out of a few niche cases, but it's pretty cool and I like the fluffy adaptation that it brings. Relics, we'll go into relics quickly. First one, It's pretty good. Pretty good. Can't argue too much with it. Biomorphic Carapace, -1 to wound. Put that on, you can put that on your Hive Tyrants, so now they act as pseudo toughness 8, but even better, because that means multi-meltas are wounding you on 4s, las cannons are wounding you on 4s. So that's fun. Void Crown, this has to be my favorite out of all of them. So it's a Psyker model only. The bearer knows 1 additional power from the Hive Mind Discipline. They were definitely thinking of the Neurothropes when it comes to this, so great. There's more. If the bear attempts to use a psychic action in your psychic phase, it can still attempt to manifest 1 psychic power during the phase. So that's great. You can now do it. Maybe you're doing the one where you're going after characters, or you're doing the one with an objective in the middle. You can now choose, or you don't have to choose putting Catalyst on something or going for the objective. You can do both. I love that. Finally, which I don't know how big this one is going to be, but against psychic armies, maybe if you get a lucky super smite or something, psychic test of 9+ unmodified cannot be denied, and that includes psychic actions and psychic powers. That's a lot for one relic, and you'll probably only put this on a Neurothrope, maybe on a Broodlord, but you'd have to spend command points, maybe on a Hive Tyrant. We'll see there. Another one that they previewed, so we should all know this one, though I'm not too keen on it, is the Synaptic Hive Blades, which is Monstrous Bone Sword or regular Bone Swords. Your opponent cannot take invulnerable saves. Unfortunately, at AP -2 only. The only way to make this really useful in character hunting situations is to also give the same unit that you gave this Murderous Size to boost that up to AP -3 and a damage 4 weapon. Now you do that Hive Tyrant is an absolute murder machine character hunter, and it will destroy enemies. So that'll be fun. I definitely will have to do that in at least one of the battle reports. But you are putting all your eggs in one basket, so I don't know if it's worth it. We'll have to see here. The Adaptive Neurolobe is also one that I've been asking for Tyranids for a long time, and that is a way to regen command points. On a 5+, whenever your opponent uses a stratagem, so it doesn't matter about the command point cost, on a 5+, you get a command point back. Command points are being used like crazy. Now we do have to remember the rule from the 9th Edition Codex, you can only gain 1 command point back per battle round. So turn 1, you could get 1. So it's at most, it is 5 command points back. On average, it's 1 to 2 extra command points. Now for some fun stuff, we are going to go into the stratagems. I'm going to rapid fire through some of these and kind of give you what I think about them. Not too much in depth, but some things. Relentless Fury is the first one. It's the one everybody's talking about. And it is important to note that this can only be used in Leviathan detachments. So unfortunately, no other army, no other Chronos or Kraken does not have benefits to this. But that's okay. We'll work with it. So Relentless Fury. 1 command point. Unless you are a Gene Stealer unit you're using it on, then 2 command points. Exploding 6s to hit, meaning for every hit of a 6, unmodified, then you get an extra shot. And it just auto hits through. It doesn't act as a 6, it just acts as another, 4 or 5, or 3, 4, 5 that's in there. If the unit has 11+ models, you generate 2 hits. So again, on Gene Stealers, where you're already rocking with 4 attacks a model, between 2 models, you're averaging an extra, at least 2 extra hits, which will more than make up for your misses. You're probably going to be going from 80 Gene Stealer or 20 Gene Stealers, 80 attacks. You're probably looking at like 100 hits if there's a Broodlord there. It'll be crazy. We'll do those numbers on it for the next video, but that's crazy. Some other things I could see that being for Devil Gaunts, or Probably not regular termagants, but devil gaunts for sure. That could be nasty. Questing tendrils is the next one. 1 CP, set up a unit from strategic reserve as if it was battle round 3 on battle round 2. Don't know how much will be used. Maybe you'll sneak a pyrovore on your opponent's backfield, but for a command point, I don't know. So Alpha Leader Beast is the next one. It's a neat one. You can basically take your Warlord and give them an extra Warlord trait. So 2 Warlord traits on 1 big monster adds for a lot of potential damage there. Animated by the Hive Mind. Yes, this is one I've been loving. Animated by the Hive Mind, auto-explode your monsters. Again, something I've been asking for a long time, so thank you for listening. Not that they've been listening to me, but thank you, GW. This you will see if you just desperately need that extra mortal wound, but your Hero Duels, your Hierophants, your Harridans, your Toxicrants, and your Harsphex, all things that do at least 3 mortal wounds, are going to be the stuff. It's going to be scary. You're going to run that Harsphex up into your front line, and oh no, it died. I'm going to pay for the CP to just nuke it, and maybe you'll do a lot of damage to some characters or a few key units. I'm happy for 1 CP. I love the utility of having that stratagem. Another one, Synaptic Domination. This one's a little weird at first, wording-wise, but I'll just give you the gist. Essentially, in your psychic phase, that's important, it's in your psychic phase, you select 1 non-synapse unit and 1 synapse unit. They're anywhere on the table, and for the rest of until the start of your next psychic phase, so kind of like a whole battle round, they will count as being within synapse range of each other. Link them together. Now they don't have to worry, which would be great for doing an across the bomb charge with Hormagaunts or something onto an opponent's objective. Now you don't have to worry about them failing morale while leaving the rest of your army kind of lagging behind. They can lag behind safely. So I like that nonetheless. Control the Swarm. 1 CP is kind of fine. When your Warlord dies, you can immediately select another Synapse character for your army that does not have a Warlord trait. Then that unit then has the Warlord trait. Now it doesn't say if you pay for an extra CP if it gets both, which is something I was wondering if it would detail out, but it doesn't also say it doesn't. So hopefully an FAQ comes through, because I'm wondering if you use Alpha Leader Beast to have 2 Warlord traits on 1 model, then you use this to pass both of them. It doesn't say, it just says the Warlord trait is passed on. So we'll see, maybe an FAQ will clarify that. The next one, Hive Mind Imperative. Use the stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Leviathan from unit that is within 12 inches of a friendly Synapse creature. Until the start of your next command phase, the unit selected gains objective secured, which is great. And if you perform actions, you can shoot while performing actions. Also, it does the whole doubling thing too. So if you already have objective secured, you count as 2. So now you can put a 30-man Gaunt squad on objective. It counts as 60. There's no way anyone's taking that from you. Hyper Adaptation. This is a 2 CP one. I don't know about it, but it's 1 unit from your army gains an alternate Hive Fleet adaptation to the end of your turn. It doesn't change the keyword, which is the interesting part, so you have to watch out for it. So if you change it, not only do you lose your 6-up Phenol Pain because you don't have Leviathan, but I guess we don't have any buffs, so maybe it doesn't matter. Oh no, because certain psychic powers might not work on them. You gotta be careful with this one. But if you want to stick a lone unit in Kraken, maybe you want to put one in Gorgon. It could be an excuse, but it's 2 CP. Put a unit in Gorgon. You might want to put your Gene Stealers in Gorgon to get some extra AP on those 6s, as well as doing a whole load of attacks. So that could be good. In the Void of the Warp, the Void in the Warp is another one that I love. It is an auto deny of 24 inches of a Synapse creature, and you can do it even after you fail a deny test. Which is insane, because if your opponent's got really good power, go for the deny and say, oh no, I didn't fail it. 4+, you get another one. I mean, for 1 CP, that is insane, the fact that we can deny on top of doing this. And finally, we have one more before we get to the other goodies. Bio-adapted borer grubs. This one's got some potential. So you can use it in one of two ways. It's 1 CP or 2 CP. Option 1 is with flesh borer termagants. Option 2 is with the flesh borer hive Tyrannofex. Obviously, the Tyrannofex is the 2 CP and the termagants is the 1 CP. Wound rolls with flesh borers or the flesh borer hive of 6s unmodified do a mortal wound in addition to damage. Maximum of 6 mortal wounds. So now you got your 30 gaunts. They hit, half of them hit for 15. They wound, that's going to be 2 mortal wounds. Though, if you have a turf gun nearby, you can get those to be a lot more consistent, and you could probably get a lot closer to doing 6 mortal wounds. And 6 mortal wounds from termagants onto something like a Terminator squad or a Blade Guard squad with those invuln saves, heck, even a Dreadnought or something, 6 mortal wounds is awesome for 1 CP. Now, on the Tyrannofex, 2 CP, you got 40 shots. I don't know if it's worth it. So now let's dive into the final main portion of this new book that any Hive fleet, custom or Leviathan, and anyone in between can benefit from. And that is the Hive Mind Synaptic Link abilities. What these Synaptic Link abilities are is one upgrade, as we refer to them as chapter upgrades, but we have Synapse Creatures, so they're Synapse upgrades that you give to your Synapse Creatures. They're all 15 points. Zone Throps are 10 points, which is great. And they can grant an ability to a unit on the battlefield if they're within the Synaptic Link ability. It is important to note, until we get an FAQ, Synaptic Link ability is 12 inches, while Synapse range varies depending on the unit, where everybody is 12 inches, Hive Tyrants are 18 inches. So unfortunately, until an FAQ comes out, Hive Tyrants have to stay within 12 inches for Synaptic Link and 18 inches for Synapse. Hopefully that changes, so Synaptic Link for the Hive Tyrants and Swarmy is 18 inches. But let's dive into it. You guys can see the diagram on your screen. Who gets these abilities is essentially, you have your host unit, which in this case is the Broodlord with the Mastery of Shadows, and anyone within his 12 inches bubble, a non-Synapse, no, it could be himself too, depending on what the specific rule is, picks a unit within 12 inches. Or, if he is within 12 inches of another Synapse creature, he could pick a unit within 12 inches of them. If they are within 12 inches of a Synapse unit, then you can pick a unit within 12 inches of them. And if that is within 12 inches, you can pick a unit that is within 12 inches of them. It's really building on that whole synaptic web idea, which is kind of how the Tyranids should be playing. So I do like this. One more important note about these is that you are limited to how many of these you can take. In Combat Patrol, 1 of them. In Incursion, 2 of them. In Strike Force, 3 of them. And in Onslaught, 4 of them. A lot of these are pretty good, so let's just dive into them right now. Like I said, there's 1 for every Synapse creature. Some of these are crazy potent, and you will be pretty much thinking they're auto takes. Again, tactics and real deep dive into these is going to come in another video, hopefully later this Friday. Though I'm going to give you my initial rundowns of them right here. So the first one, everyone saw this. Mastery of the Shadows, the Broodlord Synaptic Link. I think this one is really good. Is an auto take, depending on your list. So models in this unit, so the unit that has been selected. I should also note that only one unit can only be ever affected by one Synaptic Link ability, so you cannot pile all of your Synapse energy onto one unit and send it forward. They must be within 12 inches in the command phase, and only one you can be picked at. Get that out of the way. Now, Mastery of the Shadows. The Broodlord grants a unit light cover and heavy cover if you play with those terrain rules. Light cover for sure. And if they are a non-monster unit, they also gain dense cover, which is -1 to hit if they are 12 inches or more away, or greater than 12 inches away, because that's specific. So this means your Gene Stealers can now have -1 to hit built in, and of course you give it to anyone else, but -1 to hit built in, and a built-in cover safe. So if you like that bulky Gene Stealer strategy we were doing with Jormungandr, now you can do it with any list and give them the Armored Carapace for a 4-up save. Now in the open they're a 3-up save, ignoring AP -1 and 2 if you really don't want to extend a Carapace, and they're -1 to hit. That'll make these Gene Stealers very durable, more durable than a Space Marine, and they're much more potent. There's a lot more you can do with it, but that's the first one. Next one with the Hive Tyrant. This is a kind of a big sad one I have right here. Malicious Direction. Each time a model in this unit makes a pile-in move, it can move an additional 3 inches to a maximum of 6. Great. I don't think you'll ever take it. Having a 3 inches to pile in can be good, but for one of your 3 or 2 or 1 upgrades, I don't know. Focal Essence is a powerful one. This is for the Maleceptor. Picks a unit, wound rolls of 6, gain an extra AP, and you can re-roll the damage characteristic. 2 units come to mind. Obviously, Hive Guard would be insanely beneficial with this. I think it'll be great. Is it worth kind of the pricey price tag that comes with a Maleceptor and this upgrade? Time will tell. But that'll be great. Another one you could do it on Devil Gaunts, though you have to pick in your command phase, so it will be a little tricky. But Devil Gaunts or just Termagants, getting an extra AP on them at the very least would be powerful. Another that's kind of meh, we're going back and forth here. The Neurothrope's Psychic Creep. It grants 1 unit an aura of -1 leadership and -1 to combat attrition tests. That's okay. Sure, you can stack that with the Horror to be -2 leadership, stack it with a Haruspex for -3 leadership, or I believe there's a custom Hive Fleet to get leadership modifiers. If you want to build a cool kind of a horror list of really digging into the leadership side of Tyranids, you could do it. I don't think it's for most people, but it's something we can try. The Trigon Prime Feed is his trait. It grants a unit fallback, shoot, and charge. Hive Guard again, obvious one, though do you want a Trigon to be in range of your Hive Guard? Normally not. So again, problem is the tax for this awesome ability is the Trigon Prime itself. Though I do love me a Trigon, it's a little interesting there. The next one we have is Unchecked Ferocity for the Tyranid Prime, so you know, something there. 6 to hit, auto wound. This could be good on a number of things. This could be good on your Termagants. This could be good on your Hormagants. This could be good on your Gene Stealers. It's great. It's one less roll you have to go through. Is it an auto take? Maybe. I believe it is also done in shooting. Nope, it is only melee attack. So, you know, it's something. Again, it's a middle of the road one for me, but it's still good. Now, here's an auto take one. Bioweapon Bond for the Tyranid Warriors. +1 to hit, in range, and in melee. 2 things come to mind here. First one is, actually three. First one is Gene Stealers. If you don't want to deal with the Broodlord, then you got one of these guys, +1 to hit. Now they hit on 2s. You don't need the range of the Broodlord. The next one that comes to mind is Hive Guard. Now they're hitting on 2s. Do you really need a Chronos when you're hitting on 2s? Probably not. Would be great, but probably not. Another one that if you really want to, your Tyrannofex. Now you're actually hitting on 3s, and all you need is a cheap little warrior unit to babysit them for the Synapse anyway. And the last one are Hormigons. Now our Hormigons could be hitting on 3s, which could be that much more dangerous. I think every Tyranid list going forward, if they're playing with Synaptic Links, because why wouldn't they be, is going to have at least a unit of 3 Tyranid warriors just to give out +1 to hit to a unit every turn. It's just that good. Well, no, we got 2 more. We have the Zoanthrope, which, oh, I love the Zoanthrope. Roll an extra d6 and choose 2. You do not have to discard the lowest. You just choose 2 dice when casting psychic powers. So now when you have, I'll let you in on one little one, might make it in the power combo video, might not. Zoanthropes with this upgrade on top of a Neurothrope, giving them real ones, I believe, if I did my math right, has just over a 25% chance to super smite every time they cast smite. That is insane. 25% chance to do d6 plus 3 potential mortal wounds. Ooh. Now it is only 10 points, so you take a big block of 6. That does put them up to 310 points, but the amount of damage they can do will be insane with that. And if you don't want a super smite, or if you don't want a perils, then don't take the extra, the 1 or the extra 6. And lastly, one that I do like to see, and I'm going to try and get the most out of it, Weaponized Gestation for the Tervigon. Reroll wound rolls of 1 and 2 with ranged attacks. Hive Guard. Epic. If your opponent's got Transhuman or Stalwart on them, don't care, reroll the 1s and 2s. So there are a few other rules. We do have all of our Blood of Ball rules, and the only change out of all of these, Symbiostorm did change. That's important for all of us Chronos fans. Symbiostorm is now unmodified hit rolls of 6, meaning no longer are we getting on 5s, no longer are we not getting it because someone puts a -1 on us. We all saw it coming. It came a little sooner than we were hoping, but it is fine. Other than that, everything else is exactly the same. They reprinted our Blood of Ball stratagems to look like 9th edition ones, which I do not like the 9th edition stratagem loadout. It's confusing. My eyes just get lost at times, and I don't know the difference. I don't understand the difference between epic deeds and battle traits and battle tactics and strategic ploys and war gear makes sense, but the rest of them confuse me. We have our Hive Fleet adaptations. They have not changed. You can still do them as you wish. Adaptive physiology. They have not changed, although there is one important thing to note, is that now with decent Warlord traits in Leviathan, we do have to weigh the odds of, do we want actually a good Warlord trait, or do we want 2 adaptive physiologies? I think a lot of people are going to be only taking 1 adaptive physiology and some juicy Warlord traits, or trait. Unfortunate, that is some command points we have to spend, but they're here. Other than that, the actual Warlord or adaptive physiologies themselves, both infantry and monsters, they did not change. Now, a final little passing on this, we do have some Crusade rules, both for Cadia and for the Astra Militar, well, they are Cadia, the Tyranids. And the Tyranid, while it is sparse, it's not quite a codex level set of them. We do have some cool stuff. So we have agendas, 2 agendas only, but they're there. We have 3 requisitions, which are, you know, they're cool. We have 2 battle trait trees. They're different. One is for synapse units, and one is for units that are not synapse. So some options there. And on the back, I missed these the first time looking through the book. We have some Crusade relics, which is great. We have a couple things. So we have a Spirit Leech Cortex, which is awesome. This is harkening back to my favorite model, the Doom of Malantai. So each time a model enemy unit loses a wound as a result of a mortal wound inflicted by psychic power manifested by the bear regains 1 lost wound, and no more than 3 wounds can be regained per phase. Until the start of your next psychic phase, add 1 to the bear's strength characteristic to a maximum of 3. So if you take this on a Neurothrope, unfortunately the strength part doesn't matter. But if you take it on a Hive Tyrant, now you're getting somewhere. That's pretty cool. It's unfortunate it's not quite there, but I see what they're doing there, and I like it. We have another one, the Mortrex Implant Attack. Again, if you are a 5th edition player, you have the Parasite of Mortrex, which used to be a beast that infected characters and spit out rippers, which was hilarious, but there's no model for it, so it got cut along with a lot of other things. And essentially it does the same thing. If you were killed by a bear, or if the bear kills something, you can potentially spawn ripper swarms. So that's fun. So that's it for this book. If you're brand new, you didn't already have What a Ball, I would say this is an auto pickup. If you did have What a Ball, then you're a little bit on the fence because you are gaining the Synaptic Links, which are, I mean, they're good, but it's only 3 pages for a 50 smackaroo codex, at least in the US dollars. And then you are gaining Leviathan, which is another 3 pages, 4 pages technically. But again, for a $50 codex, if you have no interest in Crusade, then you're really not getting much out of this. It's a shame it's behind such a paywall, and it went up $10 from what the other Psychic Awakening books were. On top of that, it's not a codex, so it's annoying. Alright, I've rambled on long enough about this book. Like I said, it's a great addition to Tyranids. Is it a must-have Bioliga codex? Not quite. You might be able to get the rules elsewhere. But we're going to cover it and get everything we can out of this book so you guys can get the most out of this codex. So if you're looking forward to that, subscribe to the channel. So stay tuned to our next videos as we will cover in depth every power combo, tactic, and trait that we can do with this book for the Tyranids. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time.